But how can this even be on the tablets? Remember, I told you at the beginning that these are not just a list of rules for the Israelites. That will come. He gave them many rules that we don't have to follow anymore. But the 10 Commandments are principles about the nature of the universe itself, about reality. How can this one be? Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy? Here's what it says. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. And what the Israelites meant by that was Saturday. Remember Saturday and keep it holy. Did you keep Saturday holy yesterday? I hope so. 6 days you shall labor and do your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son nor daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth. And this is where you can see it is for sure not just a rule for the Israelites. It is a principle about how God made the creation. Because he says so. The Lord made the earth, the heavens and the earth, in 6 days, and the sea and all that's in them, and he rested on the seventh day. It's a principle that's part of the character of God himself. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Now, we will say this. Christians are not required to keep the the seventh day of the week, Saturday. They're not required to keep Saturday as a special day anymore. But the principle that there are, and actually Christians changed the Sabbath day in the very early days of the church. They changed it to Sunday for one very important reason. And what is that reason? Jesus rose from the dead on a Sunday. And so the day of worship was changed by the early Christians because Jesus changed everything. But the principle that we will work for 6 days and then have one day that is holy to the Lord, that is an eternal principle that makes human life work. And if you don't follow it, your life will not work right. That is for sure true. I'll say a couple other things about it. We'll come back to it in more detail in the summer. But what I'll say here is sometimes we have viewed this in our modern Western culture as just a day of rest. And it is referred to as a day of rest. But notice that the command has a lot more in it than just resting for one day. And I will say it has two specific additions to resting one day. The first thing is that the command involves working for 6 days. You didn't realize maybe that this command is not just a command to take a vacation. It's a command to work 6 days out of the week, to make sure you are doing productive things as part of your worship, your service to God. For 6 days, you shall labor and do all your work. That's part of the command. So it is not a command for lazy people. That's for sure. The second thing is, even though the seventh day is to be a day of rest, even though it's supposed to be a day of rest in some significant way, what it is primarily is a day that is holy to the Lord. Keep that day holy. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. We said last week a little bit about how we can think about the word holy. We can think about it as sacred. It is something that our lives are supposed to be centered around. It's also supposed to be, holy also means devoted to, only for the Lord. So what the Sabbath day, the seventh day, the day of rest, the holy day, what it primarily is a day that's set aside for your relationship with God. And that involves stopping your work, because sometimes we're so busy and we're all focused on making things, right? This also points back to that second commandment. Don't worship the things you make. Don't make them the center. And one way we do that is one day a week. We don't work on all those things. We focus that day on the Lord.